completely honest when I say I haven't been doing so well. Physically, I'm fine. Mentally, not so much, and that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. I have some pet updates for you guys, and some of them are good, and some of them are not so good. So I don't know who to start with. Maybe I'll just start with Sadie. Sadie finally got her molar removed on September 28th. She did get, I think it was just the one molar removed. They gave her 2 little stitches, and she has had some little medication. She had Medicam, which is an anti-inflammatory. And then the other one I don't know how to pronounce, but it is a pain medication. And she's been doing great. I'm happy now she won't have gingivitis or any gum disease because of the other molar. It was poking into her gums, which would cause her gums to bleed. That's not good. But she is a happy cat. She was so happy to come home, which was really nice and a good feeling because she was so excited to come out of the carrier and just be home. Hey? Oh. Does that feel nice? Mr. JJ here is doing fine. He has no health issues or anything like that. So that is a good thing. He's just a fluffer and a Mr. Right? Yeah. The next update is on Miss Cleo. Hey? So within, I think it's been a week that I had noticed, she started to increase her drinking amount. And it was something where the water would significantly go down more than it had before. And I definitely knew it was Cleo because I saw her. I did put a little camera in there so that I could see how many times she went. And it was quite a lot more than Lola. So that quite concerned me, and I right away made an appointment for Cleo. Now, unfortunately, I had gotten the times mixed up, and the day that we were supposed to go, I left at the time the appointment was supposed to leave. So immediately I was super stressed. I had to call them, and we had to make the appointment for the next day. And so then I made it on time that time. The vet was super good. He was super thorough. He was quite impressed with the rabbit care that I had been providing Cleo and her diet and everything. So he first wanted to do a urinalysis because he did say Cleo is a young rabbit. And with excessive drinking, there is a risk of kidney disease, of course, but because Cleo is so young, he said it probably is not very likely, but he wanted to do a urinalysis so that he could check out to see maybe she has a bladder infection because he was kind of leaning towards that. So we went ahead and did that. They had to stick a little needle into Cleo's bladder to get a sample, but she did really, really well, thankfully. And while we waited for the urinalysis, he did ask the next steps if the urinalysis came back clear. He said that we could do blood work and x-rays, and he asked if I wanted to do them now or if I wanted to wait. Of course, there is stressing out your rabbit when you're going back and forth to the vets and everything. That is stressful. So I said I wanted to do blood work. And so they took Cleo again and they did her little blood, and she had a lot of tests and a lot of pokes that day. Right? So when she was getting her blood work done, the urinalysis came back. It was clear. She didn't have a bladder infection or anything like that. So we are now waiting on the blood work to come back. They sent it off to Ontario. So it might take a couple of days for it to get the results. And yeah, I'm not sure what it could be. I'm really hoping it's not liver or kidney disease or anything like that because she is so young. Why am I getting so sad? It's okay. She will be okay. Right, Cleo? And I think it is good if we catch it. If we catch it young enough, we may be able to treat whatever she has. So I'm really hoping Either the blood work comes back clear and maybe she's just like, I don't know, maybe she just likes more water, or it comes back and we treat whatever we have to treat. Right, Cleo? Love you. And here is Lola. She doesn't have any updates because she's just good. She's not got any health issues. She's just Lola. The only thing is every time Cleo goes to the vet and comes back home, Lola is a big Grinch because I guess Cleo just doesn't smell the same and Lola does not like that. So she does bully Cleo and I have to put them into a smaller area so then Lola will eventually realize, oh, this is actually my sister, not a different rabbit. But other than that, Lola is doing well, and if Cleo has to go back to the vet, I'm just going to bring both of them to avoid any drama. The next update I have is on Saffron. And I unfortunately did have to make the decision to go ahead and rehome Saffron to somebody who is more experienced in owning geckos. This was not a decision that I made lightly or made it out of the blue. This has been something I had been thinking about for a while. As you may know, Saffron was my very first reptile, first gecko ever. So I had no previous experience with them. He was my first. And Saffron was a really great gecko for the first 2 years of owning him. He was great. His care was super easy. He's not exactly an expensive animal either. He was definitely my most cheapest and my easiest to care for pet. But within the last year, he changed his entire personality. He became aggressive and very agitated, and I became very scared of him. And it's not good to be scared of your pet. It got to the point where I could not even hold him because I was too scared. I know crested geckos are not scary animals. They don't even really have teeth, so them biting you would not injure you or do anything too bad, but it still gave me a lot of anxiety and stress, and that made caring for him extremely difficult. I had to come up with different ways to be able to get food and mist him while making sure he didn't try to jump out and try to nip me or hurt himself, because he did get so agitated that he would dive into the glass at anything that moved by, and I didn't know how to help him. I'm not experienced with geckos, so I just didn't know what to do, and on top of that, I was too scared to try to work with him, and it just didn't feel fair to Saffron where he could possibly go to somebody who fully was experienced with more geckos, and they could possibly give him a bigger or better enclosure, and be able to actually work with him and figure out what is going on with him, whether he's just in a mating mode all of the time or I'm not sure, and actually be able to handle him in order to do something like a health check. That was another thing. I was fully not able to handle him even with gloves because I was still fully so scared that I wasn't able to do even a health check, which is quite important with a pet. You should still be able to do something as simple as that. And so for Saffron's well-being, I decided that it was best to find somebody who was experienced with other geckos. So I actually found a nice guy who had experience with gargoyle geckos, crested geckos, and chahua geckos. And he was very excited to take in Saffron. He said he was super pretty and he was super interesting looking, and he was really excited to work with him. He also did mention that he would be able to give me updates if I wanted on Saffron, which I thought was really amazing. I can understand if anybody is upset at me for this decision. It wasn't a decision that I wanted to make. I was fully prepared to continue to just care for him the way I was caring for him, making different methods to try not to get bitten in the process, but it became so stressful that it just wasn't a good situation for him, and it wasn't a good situation for me. I think there's a really big stigma around rehoming pets, and that it is a negative thing always, and it doesn't have to be. Rehoming a pet for its well-being is a good thing. If you cannot afford to care for your pet, rehoming is okay. If you cannot meet all of their needs, rehoming is okay. If your parents will not allow you to meet the animal's needs, rehoming is okay. You shouldn't be shamed for that, because you are doing what's best for the animal instead of keeping them for yourself. I also do want to say I will not continue owning reptiles. I think that was a little experience that I enjoyed, and I will fully experience geckos from afar, and I can enjoy them from afar. I do not need to own anymore. And the last animal that I do have kind of an update on is Lenny. So let's go look at him. So here is Lenny. He is doing actually pretty good. I don't know if you guys can see his coat. Here, let's see. If you can see the back of his coat, it's doing way better than the last time you guys have saw it. So I definitely do think the mite treatment did work. He's definitely growing in a lot more hair on his back. It's getting a little bit thicker, and he is gaining a bit more weight. So that is good. Right? Yeah, you're a good boy. He still has some thinning on his head. I do think it's gonna thin out, and then I do think it will just grow back like the other hairs did. But yeah, that's Lenny. Even though this video didn't have the greatest of news, I still hope you guys somewhat enjoyed maybe seeing the animals. Maybe it put a smile on your face. I hope it did in some way. But I will see you guys in my next video.